Hello, I'm Cheryl Willis Hudson.
And I'm Wade Hudson. Welcome to another segment of Just Us and Conversations with book creators and those who get books into the hands of readers. We're so happy today to be chatting with Deborah Day.
Deborah,
Hi.
hi.
Hi,
Deborah
Deborah.
is the founder and CEO of Ashay by the Bay, an independent, a minority-owned business located in California. She opened her business in 2002, selling books online. Today, Ashay by the Bay is one of the leading booksellers that represent diversity. Welcome, Deborah.
And thank you. Thank you. It's nice
Now,
being here.
great. Now, tell us why the name Ashay by the Bay?
Well, Shay by the Bay, the word Ashay is a Yoruba name, and it means, and so it is. It has a really positive vibe and sound. And I always knew if you start a business, you need to start with the letter A because you'll be found easier in any directory, right? And
Right.
also, it's my given name, Shay, but my other name is Deborah Day. And so, yeah, and we're by the Bay. So I'm in California, in the
Okay.
Bay Area. So it kind of connects.
What city? What city in California?
I'm in Vallejo, California, and it's between Oakland and Sacramento. So it's like, yeah, but it's near the water. Mhm.
So what inspired you to start a bookstore? I mean, there's so much
Yeah.
competition out there, particularly from the Amazons of the world and other online bookstores. And so what inspired you to start your bookstore?
Well, I love books. I love art and I love books. And for me, growing up, I think people from our generation have a similar story. We didn't have books about ourselves. There were no positive images. It wasn't enough in school. So I recognized that growing up. And as I got into my later adult life, I said, I wanted to start a business, and it just kind of happened. But prior to that time, I had been in the corporate world doing as an account executive, doing different things. And I kind of learned different things along the way with these companies that I worked for. And I always knew I was going to have my own business. I come from a family of entrepreneurs, and in my spirit and in my vision, it's always to have your own.
Mhm.
And I love books. I started reading to my son early. I looked for books about children of color, for Black children. There weren't a lot of books, but I was able to find some. And so from there, it just started something within me recognizing that in the school system right now, then and now, there's a lack of quality books for Black children, for children of color. And I like to say Black children because I focus there, but I'm talking about all children of color.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, understanding that, and starting to look at the big picture. And I just knew that was going to be something I was going to be part of. And,
Now,
and I'm an author and a publisher too. So
really?
that happened.
Okay.
Great.
Considering
Here's my
the fierce competition out there, how do you? Those are your books that you published?
I got to tell you something real quick. I
Okay.
wrote these 2002, 2004. This is curriculum. From this, I started a mentoring program here in West Oakland. And for 12 years, we had a mentoring program that was based upon the principles in my book. And
Mm.
so I did the book, I started the bookstore, and then I started the mentoring program. Everything was just happening at one time. So yeah,
So
just
how do
thankful that.
you, considering the fierce competition, how do you
Mhm.
market your bookstore so that it has its own identity and own
Hey,
branding so that you can reach a greater audience? How do you do that?
let me tell you something, Wade. This is something that has taken me a couple of years to kind of, to put together. When I started my business, I had the website since 2000, right? I knew everything was going to be online. And so I started building then, but I had started the mentoring program, 2004. So, and one of the things we hear in the Bay Area, how I got recognized in the Bay Area and started my business, I used to do events. I mean, events, lots and lots of community events, educational conferences, festivals,
Mhm.
taking books here and there, carrying them. Our people love to see the books when they buy the books.
Yeah.
And our people love children's books. And it's amazing because I know when I'm selling children's books, they're identifying for their children, but they're also identifying with the children within. It's just a beautiful thing. And I love selling books to the public.
Mhm.
So, taking books and connecting that way, networking, meeting people, right? The educators are at these events, connecting like that, and then handing out cards, tons of cards. So
Mhm.
over the years, I kind of built a brand and a reputation here in the Bay Area, and people were most familiar with me in the Bay Area.
Okay.
So, and now recently, since COVID, right,
Mhm.
I recognize, what, can't do any more events, right? Because we
Right.
can't do that. But I also sell to schools. So the school business is kind of down right now. It's kind of, that's another part of my business. We have the consumer business and the business side of the business. We sell to businesses.
So let me
Businesses.
stop you there. Tell us how you built your business in the schools. I mean, how do you do that? How you go about that? I mean, schools have
I'm
curriculum departments, and there are people who make decisions about what comes into the schools. So how do
right.
you work your way
Well,
through that?
that's a process because you have to basically, if a school wants to buy books from you, they have to create a vendor number, and that's not that difficult to do.
Mhm.
So you got to do it. Is it a W-9? I think it's W-9
Mhm.
form. They get the vendor number, and it has to go through their purchasing department, and then they that way you are allowed to sell your products to those schools
Right. Okay.
and in their district, right? And so that kind of starts, but the relationships, see, so this is what I learned from the corporate world, building those relationships with these educators and companies, connecting with them. Sometimes I meet them at events, no kidding. They
Mhm.
give me their card. Hey, we need some books, call me, and it starts like that.
Mhm.
But it's more than that. That takes a lot of follow-up. You have to, you have to have your business name out there.
Right.
You have to try and connect as much in the community with community groups too, right?
Mhm.
And so it's been a steady climb, steady process. But you can do it. It can
And
be
it
done.
sounds like you had a business plan. Your business has grown
Yes.
organically,
Yeah.
and you mentioned that some changes have had to occur because of COVID. So have you had to change your model at all, or are you
Oh,
still working with
oh,
pretty much the same model?
well, I know when schools start buying again, right now, schools are not buying as much because there's a little bit of confusion going on. If they're going to be open in September or whatever's happening, or summer school, distance learning. So I'm going to start calling on those very soon because those schools are always going to be there and they're always going to need books. But as far as the internet, and this is the interesting thing here. So I was kind of, focusing here in the Bay Area again, doing events, that can be very time consuming, but the community loves it. And I love the community. So I started advertising on Facebook. And I have been growing my Facebook business, but I haven't been advertising because Facebook gets a little expensive, right? But a
Mhm.
friend said to me, Deborah, the cost of Facebook ads is about the cost of booth fees. You go to an event. So I'm doing more Facebook advertising, and I'm reaching a market like some in the South, some in the East, and just different people now are starting to new customers. It's amazing,
Hmm.
and I'm really
Are you
excited
able to
about it.
quantify the increase in sales? I mean, it's like 20%, 30% because of Facebook?
Well, because I was kind of I had some problems where I actually had hate to say it, I hate cyber group was attacking my business for no reason, got that out the way. And thing you have an online store, you got to secure it.
Right.
It's just like a brick and mortar. You all know that, right? You got to make sure all the windows and doors are closed. You got to watch your security. You got to update your theme. You got to just do a lot of different things to make your business to secure it. So I did that, and then I was able to connect more on social media. I wasn't doing a lot of that because I didn't have time.
Right.
For me, my business right now is mostly me, but when I do collections, I want to talk about that too. When we do the school collections, I have a team of people I bring in to help me. And I have another part-time person that helps me sometimes, but it's a home-based business.
Yeah,
And
when
I
you
got
talk
to say,
about collection, how does that work? School collections? Because I saw that on your
well,
Facebook, and you have books in packages, right?
yeah. So this is one of our flyers here. So what we do, we can do collections from preschool to sixth grade. We were doing collections to high school, but that was just too much. So we're just focusing on preschool to sixth grade, an African American collection. In the Bay Area, we have a huge Hispanic population. So we also have a Latin American Spanish bilingual collection. So the collections are by grade level. They include so many different books. And what we do is we update those books every, twice a year. So those collections are updated. The pricing and everything is accurate. This flyer here, the pricing isn't so accurate, but I'm just showing you this is what the schools get. And the books are, the thing that's nice about the school collections, educators can have the books that they need for their classroom. Most of them are core curriculum books. That's a standardized term now here across the United States for the schools. And those are certain authors and illustrators and themes and genres. So we have many of those books, but also I have a lot of independent booksellers, books in my collections. And this is one way we can get some of the books in the schools. So I started doing the collections, I forget how many years ago now. But that's really where my market is. That's where I want to be, because that's where I feel I can make the most impact, in African American children's literature, getting them into schools. That's the main thing. Parents and families buy our books, you know what I'm saying? But if we're going to really make change, it has to be at the school level. It has to be in the classroom. It has to be in the school classroom, not the library. We can get them, and that's what I emphasize, because we don't do the cataloging, on the spine of the book. We just, they're classroom library books.
Okay.
Now, is Scholastic book fairs in competition with you? I know Scholastic does a lot of book fairs around the country in schools.
Yes. No, Scholastic. The thing about Scholastic, I have some of their books in my collection.
Okay.
When I did some national conferences, I see them at these conferences. You know what I'm saying? And I don't do as many national conferences anymore, because, as you know, it's a lot of work, right? But I carry their books. I carry all the major publisher books as well. And when schools are doing it, but here's another thing. If schools are doing a book fair, Scholastic only has their books, and their books are not, the only books that are out there. I mean, there are other publishers like you all who have some great books.
Yeah.
And schools may not be aware of it, right? And so when they see my collections, I'm going to tell you what, I went to one national conference. I blew everybody away. They saw my collections, and these are educators now, okay? They were just so impressed, and they love the collections. And so, they had not seen so many great books in one location for all these grade levels. Even Scholastic came by and said, "You got a great collection."
Well, listen. Well, you're an entrepreneur, and we know that being entrepreneurs can be a challenge. It's not easy. So, what are some of those challenges, and can you tell us about some of the rewards as well?
Yeah, well, the challenges is I work 7 days a week. That's one of the challenges, right? And probably, sometimes I get, maybe not getting everything together enough. I don't know. I need to hire more people. So I'm trying to bring in a full-time person, right? Just to help me with the paperwork and just, many different tasks. But also I want to expand. So I'm looking at some different plans, and how I'm going to continue to do this and to serve that market. By me being an entrepreneur, it does kind of limit some of the impact that I can make, but I see the big picture, and I'm just trying to figure that all out. Looking for a heavy investor, that would be amazing, but also, yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's why I think sometimes, small businesses need, we need a shark or somebody like that, to kind of guide it, help bring in some financing, or there's other ways of financing, of course, but that's another story. But the rewards are fantastic. I mean, I know in my heart that, many of us are called, but few hear the call. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Many of us are called to do this work, and this is work. People who may have other occupations may not really understand what it's like to be a bookseller. You have to love what you do. Your heart has to be in it. You have to be passionate about your people and your community, and you have to see what's going on. You have to be aware. If you're not aware of what's going on in the world, this is not for you, right? And we know that we hear about what's happening in the schools. We all want to help. We all want to make sure our children have the best opportunities, get the best books, get the, these are the rewards. So I know when I'm, making that happen, What else can I tell you? But challenges, it's a lot, because it's a lot of data. on the website, just managing that takes a lot of time. It's content. So your content has to be updated. You have to keep up with the price changes, the book cover changes. You know, it's a lot like that when you have a collection like mine, and when you don't have as many people like maybe a company would have, right? So, but that's going to change. That's in the process of changing because as I'm moving forward with this new normal that we have, there's more distance learning. With distance learning, guess what? We got to remember, we cannot just depend on devices. As you know, a lot of these companies have these huge catalogs now that are online for children, the libraries. That's great. That's wonderful. However, we need to be cautious about that. Kids are already spending too much time in front of the computers, and that there's an energy. And there's nothing that can replace having a real book in their hand, reading that book, learning from that book, and sharing that book. That's a different feel. It's a tactical feel. And so that's why you have to have both. We have to have real books, and we have to have, digital books.
Right.
So I'm going to stay on I hope to say, I'd like to stay on the real book side. You know what I'm saying? But there may come a time I might be able to do some digital books, but I'm not really focusing on that market right now.
Yeah. Now, you've talked about some changes you've had to make because of the COVID-19 pandemic, including advertising in Facebook, which you probably would not have done perhaps without the pandemic. So do you see other changes that you will be making moving forward because of new ideas that are coming to the fore because of this climate that we're in? And also, how do you see the relationship between publishers and booksellers as a result of this pandemic challenge? And how you see it changing?
Yeah, I will. For one, I am going to, as far as because I'm going to focus online. So I have so many books on there now, about 800 or so, right? So as far as inventory, so in order to satisfy that market, I got to make sure I have inventory. So I'll be buying more of the same books that I have on my website. You know what I'm saying? But I have in my collection, I have about 2,500 books or more. I forget. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to streamline in that sense of the offering of books. But at the same time, I'm looking at, like I say, adding another person to help me with all this. Facebook does cost. I was advertising before, but it was sporadic. See, what you have to do, you have to be consistent. And those people keep seeing those ads, and then they start sharing, and that's what happens there. And I'm on Twitter and LinkedIn and all that too. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm looking at inventory. I'm looking at the website. One thing I did as soon as that pandemic hit, my son kept telling me, "Mom, you need to redo your website," and I wasn't hearing him, right? But after I redid my website myself, I got that. Yeah, but it's got a lot of features that my other website didn't have, and it navigates better mainly, right? So with that, customers are on there, and see, the customer experience on the website has to flow. It has to flow. Right. When they're on there, it has to flow, and they have to get in and get out and see everything. But guess what I found out? And I'm looking at the numbers. 2/3 of my customers are on their mobile phones. Now, on a mobile phone, okay, 2/3, and that's a lot of shopping from the mobile phone, whereas the other third are on desktop.
Right.
So that's something. People are ordering wherever they are, of course, but you know what I'm saying? That's an important thing to know and understand. So yeah.
Well, I guess that just leads into the question. You've seen a lot of changes. What advice would you give to others who are interested in becoming booksellers?
Oh, I would say, if you love books, you love literature, you love art. I mean, if you want to do something that's really meaningful, bookselling is a career choice, because you understand how you can help people, impact people, make lives easier. You educate. So it's all there, but it's may not be for everyone. But the beauty of what's happening I see a lot of other vendors, and so forth. They're adding their websites. We have to be online. And although we're going to miss the one-on-one contact impact that we have at the social gatherings and the events and so forth. But it's very important. If you have a business, you have to be online. So this is my 20th year anniversary, and it just came up so quick.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And so I'm just saying, but it took a lot. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but it's something that I enjoy doing. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I'm benefiting people too.
Right.
Mm.
Okay, Deborah, we're now toward the end of the interview session, and we're at the lightning round. I know you're excited about that. So we have a few questions we want to ask you, and the first thing that comes to mind, we share that with us. What is your favorite book?
Again, I have so many. I have different books from different eras. If you see my wall here, you see some of the books here that I have on my wall, and one of them is Jamal's Busy Day. My son's name is.
Okay.
Great.
That's one of my books. Yeah.
Okay, so what about your favorite author? Author?
There's so many. Oh my goodness, these are difficult. One of my authors I really am crazy about right now is Vashti Harrison. I don't know if you can see her. Her Little Leaders.
Yes.
Yeah, Vashti is amazing. She's an amazing illustrator and author. And there's so many great books. Oh gosh, all of them.
All of them. Okay.
Well, who has influenced you the most?
Oh my goodness, that's really hard to say. I don't know. Probably my parents.
That's a good answer. What about your strong parents? Right. Okay. What about your favorite music that you like to listen to when you want to unwind?
Oh, I love jazz. I love John Coltrane, Miles Davis, and I like smooth jazz. I like all the different levels of jazz.
Okay.
Yeah.
What one thing that you have not had the chance to do that you would like to do?
Oh, well, I still want to skydive.
Okay.
You are quite brave.
All right. Well, listen, Deborah, this has been a real joy. Tell us how people can get in touch with you, contact you, and support your bookstore.
Right. Okay. So the name of the company is Ashay, Ashay, by the Bay, AshayByTheBay.com. And we are located in California. And I have a 1-800 number. It's 1-844-543-7732. So if you call that number, we will get your message and we'll definitely respond. But if you can order online, everything is online. We have a very navigational website. All the collections are there. And this is another thing I want to share real quick. Amazon is I do business with Amazon. I buy books from them sometime, you know what I'm saying? And I search on there for stuff. But the thing about Amazon is that you look for a book, it's very vertical, and it's difficult to find what you're looking for there. When you start looking for books for our children, unless you have the name, or unless you want to, if you're looking for one book, that's okay. But you can't see a lot of books. The difference between like an Amazon collection of African-American children's books in my collection is that when you look on there, you're going to see a lot of books at one time in that collection. So it's got depth and breadth, right? And that's important because a lot of our parents and educators, they don't see all the books in a collection, and that's what's important. So when they buy books for kids, they see more than what's the one book that they're looking for.
Right.
And although Amazon has the volume, right?
Yeah.
So I think with small businesses like myself, we can make an impact by just specializing. We have to specialize. We can't carry all the books. We have to specialize and just be mindful of our own collections and try to have something I think that our customers, the market's looking for.
What book does best for you?
What book? What?
What book sells best for you? In any particular genre?
Just all the like we have we have these little board books, right? These are nice. These are for my preschool, baby to 3 and preschool books. I have a collection of these. I have collections with different reading levels. We have the chapter books. Some of these books here might be an upper elementary And then of course the baby books. What you're seeing here are the baby books, but also, you know, I carry, you can't see it over here, but I have a collection of conscious books. That's the thing about my website. I want my customers, as they're looking for books for their children, the parents themselves, we got to get conscious. We got to learn about our culture and history ourselves. So a lot of times they're buying books for themselves and maybe buying a book for their children too. And I've been saying for a long time, and I'm so glad, I would always be at the events and tell my customers this. I said, there's going to come a time. I said, build and save your libraries. Build and save your libraries, because look what's happening right now. They're doing distance learning, but we still need to have libraries in the home. Right. You know, who knows if they're ever going to be back in a real classroom again. You know what I'm saying? Right. And we need to collect and save books for the next generation. Because like you all have some great books, you know, and I've got.
Thank you. We'll direct people to you to get some of our books as well. We really want to thank you, Deborah, for joining us today, and also thank our viewers for tuning in. This is part of a series of conversations. We'll be doing more of them, and we want you to remember that just books make a difference.
Yes, I love that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, be well.
Okay.